Hello, my dear friends. So we wrote those long get user team and week number and this and that function. Now let's see in this session if those functions can actually make some sense and if we are able to get the data back and how to consume those functions. As you can see, there are still some issues. Let's quickly go ahead and import some functions. You see, I cannot find this one. So let's go here. I need to do this again. A barrel would have been better, but I'm a bit lazy. It's better. What else do I need to import? The iUser interface. So that should be coming from the model. So I can simply add it here. Voilà. This one is interesting. The problem, object.values is a standard function on object. It's a standard JavaScript thingy, but somehow TypeScript gets confused because it cannot pick it up. The fix for that is to go into tsconfig file, and over here we need to tell TypeScript that, hey, please follow ES 2017 library recommendation, or I don't know what it is, but that's the fix. So we do here 2017, so it will start picking up recognizing object.values functions also. While we are here, the other thing I personally like to do, though I would not recommend to anyone, is to specify the semicolons, but I think that is in TypeScript. Was it tslint functionality? Yeah, over here. So what I'm telling TypeScript, hey, don't worry about terminating each lines with semicolons. It's one of the quirks I discovered while working with pure React. So why type another character if I don't really have to? I'm lazy, you see, I told you. Now, since this is done, what I could do over here is just simply type the value. So ideally, this function should get executed whenever the lower page loads. And let's try logging our value function over here, value object over here, and then see what's going on. While we are here, let's also, do I need to log something else? For the time being, no. Let's save it. I'll do a gulp serve, or is it already working? Yeah, it's already done. So if I refresh my page, I should be seeing these values in the console. So I go to my page, I do a refresh, click on preview, inspect, and I should see, there it is. So I'm getting the two colleagues back from system. Those were the email addresses and also their respective schedules. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So perfect. So my date, basically what I'm saying is our links, our functions work. They pick up who my colleagues are based on Outlook or the file, the local file which we used in place of Workbench, and then the link to SharePoint is also working fine. Perfect. So it can calculate. So as I assume everything was working fine. So the next thing we can do over here is to change this text and then see how it goes. For changing the text on the page, on the card, I need to go to my card view.ts function, which is basically the main card view, and I specifically need to modify these parameter, so replace it with the actual values of which day that was the most popular, and how much, what is the actual number count for that, right? The way to do that is pretty straightforward, because remember, from my team extension card, I'm storing all this information in my state, so it should be available for me in my data function over here. So let's go ahead and simply write that thing. Let me quickly grab the piece of code from here. So it should be something like this. Remove this and paste it here. So what am I doing? I'm checking for the primary text. So I see how many users I have in the team. If there is a user, if he has a team, colleagues, that means, and if the length is greater than 0, then yes, that means there was some calculation. I get my popular day. Otherwise, I simply say, hey boss, I tried to pick up some colleagues, but I could not find any of your colleagues, so you have no colleagues over there. Similarly, for description, I have the the Mondays and Tuesday, whatever the popular day is, and how many people are going there. And if there was nothing, if I can't find any team over there, I simply print an error message. And then of course I specify the primary text and primary description over here. For those who are not conversant with how exactly this thing data works and what this return and all those means, all those objects mean, please have a look at the previous videos which I did on Viva explaining ACE cards in my playlist. So the other thing that I need to do, of course, is to define these locks, these strings. And the way it works in ACE is to go to the log file, define the added text which you want over here. So I need to define the interface fully, and then I also need to define the corresponding text in this file. To save me some effort, to save me some effort, I will simply copy paste the text. Let's go ahead. So I define my interface, complete interface over here. So these are the added text which I want for my application. And then I also update my locale file. I only have enusjs, but in case you have supporting more than one locale, you just need to copy paste this file and change it to appropriate locale over there. So let's go ahead and I do this, save it. Once I save it, if everything went all right, I should be able to see the text changed. Hopefully, let's see if it works, and it doesn't seem so. Let me refresh it again. Clearly it doesn't seem to do the work. Why? What's wrong? Why is this happening? Because the text is, so I did a console.log, just the logging the state just to see if this function is getting executed or not. Primary and description, so that seems to be okay. If I go to team meeting extension, is my if this kind of thing happens when you're trying to load a card and the card doesn't work and it's not showing the it seems to be a different card, the first thing I always look upon is what have I registered with the card navigator. So that's the key, card view registry ID, and that's the card view. And so card view, so this is okay, card view registry ID, and is card view registry ID is, that's what I'm rendering back in rendered card. So that means it should be this function. If I look into this function, that's right, so it should work. So if it still doesn't work for you, then what you can do is just to do stop it and do a gulp serve again. Let's preferably do a gulp build, also do a gulp serve, and then see if the gods are happier with us. I'm pretty sure it must be some caching. Gulp serve, okay, let it open fresh, and there it is. Looks to be okay. If I go here, look, no data, and then yeah, now it works. So it's telling me, hey boss, there are 2 days, Tuesdays and Wednesday, which seems to be popular. So that means our link, our calculation, and our talking to SharePoint, it works fine, right? Perfect. The next thing we need to do is to invoke two buttons over here, different. One should say, set my day, and other one should say set my schedule, right? So to do that, we need to change this interface. Again, I have explained how the whole thing works. If not, please have a look at my other course. Let's go ahead quickly and write our code. So I need two buttons, so that means I need two JSON values to be returned back. I will quickly create this one over here. Let's remove this, guys, and paste this. So what am I doing? I'm saying that's the text for that view, which that's the text for that button, and on the click of that button, this view should open up. Similarly, for open edit, that's the text I want, and whenever somebody clicks, I need to open a registered quick view like this, the quick view which is registered with this key. And the way to assign a quick view with a particular ID is to go into card extension class. Remember, we had done it for the card view, so we need to replace this quick view with our views over here. So the way to do that would be to, of course, first create a quick view, because remember we need two views, one to set the day and when one to set my schedule, other to see somebody else's schedule. So these are two different quick views. We will be creating that in a minute, but for the time being, let me copy paste some code. uh, so what I need to do is, let's say quick view, copy and paste. So these are the two views and this is the view which we want. Of course quick view already exists, I don't have edit view, so let me copy paste edit view also. So let's go here under quick view. So voila, so I have edit view also here. We will go through in detail about what they do, but I still need to import this. And it should be similar to this. Copy, paste, Z, let's do this, let's do this. Okay, reminded this. And I still don't get why there's no backspace, why there's no end and forward buttons in Mac. Huge miss, huge miss. Hey, Steve Jobs, if you're listening to it, just come back and implement, fix your keyboard like it used to be in Windows. But anyways, so I have my edit view and my quick view. I think I got these two values right. Let's quickly have, first let's see if this thing works or not, right? Is it showing me an error? Ooh, yes, somewhere in edit view I need to import some interfaces, of course. So the way to do that would be, let's see where I am with this. It's team meeting, so I go up, I go to models and I go to iModel. So let's save it. Hopefully it should build properly now. Oops, I still have an error. Browser, ooh la la. Edit view module not found. Okay, you see, the way templates, the views, quick views work is that we need to specify a template JSON. Which JSON do you want to load? So it's an adaptive card designer template. Again, have a look in my previous versions videos to see how that works. So basically I need to copy one more file. So I go to my template, you see there are these JSON files, so I need to copy two different templates over here. So let me go ahead and quickly copy and paste it in template folder. Yes, please replace it. So I have two files, save everything. Everything is saved. So if I do this now, it should, looks like it worked fine. So my whole code is working fine. Let's go ahead. If I refresh it now, I should see two buttons at least. Yes, those are two buttons. Let's see if they work. So see schedule and set my days. Set my days, I should be able to set my days. Oh, yes, you see, and it's already reading the value. It's reading the value from here for me. So Akshay call week number 9th, Mondays and Fridays, I think Mondays and Thursdays, and not this one but this, Mondays and Thursday. Perfect. And see the schedule, it's already, oh, somehow it's not able to pick up my colleagues. We shall see what the problem is, but let's see what set my days does. Previous section we saw that the button click, open edit, set my day, that is actually this part of the JSON, and it is loading edit quick view, and this key is registered with edit view, and that's what it is doing. Anything specific? So I have my props and states. The first function that will be called is the data. That's what framework is going to call. So it will figure out if the SP list item, do I have the list item for that particular user? If yes, maybe it was already loaded because the person is not the first time that he's on this page. If it is not loaded, then I again load it with the get list item function. Otherwise, if it is loaded, just go ahead. So let's go here, and then I return back the values. So this is the data that goes into this template. That's how it works. So I have defined, think of it as an HTML value or What could be, yeah, think of it as an HTML template with placeholders in it, and that placeholders I'm filling up with this return function. That's pretty much what it is. So I read the state and I put in true or false for all my days. And if I go to edit view template.json, which is over here, you can see that I have my placeholders. So title will be replaced by the title over here. So I'm making a column set and column. The toggle Monday will come from toggle Monday this value. So this key and this key has to be same, and that's how the whole plumbing thing works. There's nothing spectacular about it. If you see that apricot designer interface, we saw discussed it in our previous videos, you will see how the whole thing works. The only important thing over here is that this piece of code. So I actually click a button OK, and then I need to do something, because remember, in my code I can change it whatever I want, but the functionality of actually calling SharePoint and storing this value tip is on the button click OK, right? And the way that thing works, and then I define this function. So on action, and I get some parameter from ACE, I get the data out of it, and the data looks like this. So I'm doing a console.log also, but it's basically all the text boxes, all the combo boxes that I am getting. Once I have the data, I get that list item, and then I pick up the state. I get it out. So I have the list item in my SP list item, and then I simply update that value over here in the SP list item. And of course, I close. This is the button. This is the button to close the value. That's pretty much it. The only thing, again, it's a peeve of me, is you see the on action. Imagine if you have 3 or 4 different buttons, then all of those buttons will go to this on action. There is only one action you can write. There's only one function you can write to tap into all the button clicks. And if you have more than one button, then in your action, I think it's action or data, one of those, you have the IDs also. Action, yeah, you see the action.id. So what you can do in your edit view template, let's say I have 2 different, then I could have specified an ID here, something like this, and then I can also have another button with a different ID. The action type will not be submit. I think it will be something else. You can check it out, but it is possible to have multiple buttons on quick view and do some jazzy stuff, and then provide different IDs, and those IDs can be read in my edit view over here, and depending upon that ID, you do one action or another. Pretty straightforward function. So that's for edit view. Now let's see what's happening with the quick view, because the quick view was supposed to read my colleagues data and show it to me. The way it works is a change. There's a bit of a change, so I don't need this value. Let me paste this. And I have my interface, which is a bit different over here than the standard. So my interface is quick view data. It should have a title, and then it has people property, which is of the type iUser. Of course, I need to include iUser here. So what am I doing? Pretty straightforward over here, because remember, the functionality to get the data for all the colleagues for a particular user was already done in template card extensions on init function. You see over here, we got all the data, and we did all the jazzy thing, and we stored everything in a state. And now from the state, I can simply use that value. So I say this.state.user, give me all the team, complete array of the team, and put it in people function. And after that, you call this template, quickviewtemplate.json. If I look at quickviewtemplate.json, it's exactly same as the edit view template.json. The only fact over here is that we are doing a loop, right? So kind of depending upon n number of colleagues. The way to handle that looping thing is with the help of, whenever you have $data property, that means a loop. So that means make a loop for all the information which I'm about to provide to you. So there would be a people's property over here. I'm telling, hey boss, there would be a people's property, and you take the first element of people's property, and then the display name of that first element has to be here. Then over here, please put that property dot schedule dot Monday, and so forth. I can do some concatenations and a lot of stuff over here. So that's the way to loop in case you would like to have it. So people's property, and this people's property is nothing but specified over here. You see this people. That's how the whole plumbing thing works so far as looping is concerned. So having said that, let me save everything and see if I refresh it, does it work? Preview, see schedule. Yeah, that's it. Jon Snow and Peter Pan. So that's the schedule I have. And I can also change my schedule like this. There's still some bugs over here and there. For example, it's still showing up the old one. I still need to fix it. By the time, hopefully, when you would be watching this, I would have fixed this bug. But pretty interesting. From best practices point of view, the first thing I always try to do is to keep all my API calls, my state calculations, my business logic and everything as much as possible to put it in on init function of the extension class. And once that is done, I do my jazzy calculations and everything, all the exchange of data, and then I put it in my state object. And then the card views and quick views are basically dummy pieces of functionalities which simply just use this dot state and get the data and show it to them. Of course, if you have some more complex cards, you have multiple quick views and one quick view is dependent upon another, then you might change the state later on in those applications or make a API call also. But recommendation is to do most of the stuff over here. Other thing I'm a big fan of all the coding standards, so we keep everything standard. So that means names of the folders always with camel cases, name of the classes.ts files always with uppercase, starting with uppercase, like this. I think it's called Pascal. But I'm not a fan of naming all such files like this. For example, in my utilities, get user team data is small. The reason I do that is because it's a function and it's not a component. So the difference being component shows some value to the end user also. It's coming from React World. So I keep that Pascal naming conventions for pure functions. Also, always a good idea to put utilities as a different folder. You put all the common functionality across your project over here. Another flavor over here would be to maybe migrate some of the code over here to a common library. The idea being, if you have, let's say you have same API calls being made maybe to Graph or maybe to some third-party applications, and you have 3-4 different projects working on the same thing. You don't want to copy this utility function on each project, right? So the recommendation over there is to use something called the library component. So if you go to Yeoman generator for SharePoint SPFX, you will see one of the options over there is also library component, and we will cover that in a different project, different video. But it's basically a common project. It's a different project which can be reused, which can be npm'd in your application. So definitely having a worth look at it, how to go about writing different utilities functions. Barreling, again, I was lazy enough, I did not do that over here. But for example, for my utilities, I could have written a index.js file and then exported all of them in one go. So that means over here, I wouldn't have to write this thing 3 lines. It would be just 1 line, or one line for all these 4 or 5 lines. So always a cleaner solution. So if you don't know what barreling is, please do have a look at it. And of course, all the interfaces, all the constants, I try to move them into iModels because it's so I only need to go into one file and I know all the types are over there. I'm not a very big fan of types in TypeScript as such, because it's a lot of code. So the more I can hide it somewhere, the better for me, at least. So definitely take it up as a recommendation. Also, please feel free to use PNP, PNP libraries. They are fantastic. You can also do the same thing with this .context object of ACE. but why reinvent the wheel? It seems to be working pretty fast. So that's for it. Please do leave a comment if you like the video, if you would like me to do something else, or if this is not working for you. Please do let me know. The code is also up on GitHub, and please do share, like, and subscribe. Your appreciation means a lot.